She's been busy on her coffee.
But Teresa did just say, I'm coming right back.
And Terry's been busy working.
I'm impressed with her.
I didn't know, she was.
She goes to her room.
Yeah.
That's where she goes.
Is she there? She's done great.
Yeah.
She's real motivated.
Yes. It's completely different.
I know,
Yeah.
she and I talked about that.
Good.
She said she's gonna talk to you.
She's not back. Okay. Good.
But I really think it was all of her issues more than anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, so. I told her, I said, you should have not gone to admission. Just that particular admission to Terry in November. I don't think she was ready for it yet.
Why not?
Well, what was
Don't you
the
see she's
result
changed
from
since then?
there?
What?
Don't
She
you
had-
see she's changed since then?
You think she's
She's
changed because of
changed
Yeah,
a heck of a lot since then. It
right.
was a good kick in the butt,
Maybe, yeah,
you know, so without actually experiencing that, it may not be.
Maybe,
where she
yeah.
is.
maybe. That could be
Yeah.
true.
She still has some problems with it, I think, but overall, I think she's doing all right.
Well, I mean, she was always going to have because of her.
What was your,
Justin, did you wanna,
And
did you wanna write that stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Told me that you needed the board.
Oh, I was going to, but I can,
Easy.
but I also said I could do one at a time.
Now go ahead.
okay, then, when you say.
Morning.
But did it cost a lot?
I thought Kimball stayed
Or you
one.
just say that because
It is, that's the reason we're all surprised it's not here.
you're fine with it.
He has no excuses.
We were gonna drink your.
You still have your
tag on.
You taking this back when you're done?
Oh, no, I just haven't worn it.
We just call you,
Get what you see here.
we just call you Mini Pearl.
That's nice, I like that. I think that's really good.
I think you're fine.
Well, it seems like everybody forgot something, huh, Brenda?
No, 1, 2, here's the script right here.
Oh, really?
Carolyn, but
Wait, what did I forget?
Yeah, we skipped the page. But it was all different. Well, no, you do have that.
So Jeff has a sample in there.
Oh, you're doing
If you can start by.
So what did you?
That was nice. That's cute.
That's where.
All right, since you're working on something, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna shut it down and get your focus in. So we're gonna get started in like 45 seconds.
I've been trying to do that. That's why I left it up there so that I didn't remember.
Oh my God, really my other thing here is
Okay. These are now officially all done and signed, so you can do those 2 stations. All right. So, you guys ready for today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. How many of you guys are kind of happy about where you are, at least right now? We've got 2 full days, from where you came to where you are right now. Feeling okay? Obviously, we've got some questions to answer today and stuff, but you feeling okay with what you got and where we're going? Okay. So, since we've obviously been talking about, you know, what was that last thing down here? It's like the what. You know, what are you doing? What are you going to do to get all these people to your site? And the really cool part about it is we were thinking about, like, what really do you need to spend your time on? You know, how much of your time doing what different types of activities? Because there's a lot that goes into running a business. But reality is, with having the done for you system, having it already created for you, having them to do any of those tech issues that you have, it's really nice that a majority of your time is really just going to be focused on getting people to your site. Getting people to go to your site, and then once they buy, making sure they're happy so they continue to buy again. So that really is going to be a majority of what your time is spent, is getting people to your site. And that right there is the marketing stuff. How do you get those people to your site? What are you going to be doing? And before you can even go into what traffic strategy do you want to use, how are you going to do it, you have to take a moment, and Rick was talking about it yesterday. Who are you gonna help and what are you gonna do for them and how are you gonna be able to do it? So that always goes back to who do we need to talk about? Who do we need to know? Who is that person?
Avatar.
It's your avatar. Yes, it's absolutely your avatar. How many of you have gone through the training inside by 13 about your avatar? Raise your hand. Good.
Who's willing to share theirs?
I'd go back up to the room, so I left it up there.
You left your avatar up there?
Wow.
She's in your room?
She's a paper
Maria.
person. She keeps printing everything out.
think mine.
Maria, I was like, how many of you guys have a name for your avatar? You know right now who that name is. Tell me your name out loud right now.
Maria.
Will.
If you can't do that yet, that fast, you need to be able to do that. Okay, you have to be able to do it. Justin asked, who's willing to share their
I
avatar?
will.
You'd love it.
Who knows their avatar and wants to share?
Cindy does.
Go ahead.
Come upstairs.
I changed this one, so it's not one that you have. I don't think it's the one you saw a long time ago.
Question though, why did you change it?
Because I thought that I wouldn't, because my first one was a man. Well, it was more in depth than just, but I was thinking that maybe I just don't always know, like, I don't know what ways on a man's in.
So maybe you couldn't relate as well to a man, so you changed it.
Yeah, I mean, at first I thought I could, I was just like thinking I could like use my husband or whatever, but then, I don't know.
That's a good lesson right there though. You have to be able to know them well enough to be able to be inside their head. And if you're a female and you're not really sure how that male mind works, might not be best to actually use that. So
So, here it is. Oops. Okay, my avatar's name is Renee. Renee is 53 and has worn many hats in the job market. The last job Renee had, she learned everything and became the go-to person whenever someone needed to find something or how to do something. And she felt good about herself at that job. Right now, she is committed to caring for her 10-month-old grandson until he is 2. During the limited free time Renee has, she's trying to build an online business. Eventually, Renee wants to be that go-to person for others that are struggling to make money online. If money and time were not an issue, Renee would like to take a few weeks to visit family in other states and to visit Las Vegas along the way. Renee also wants to have her kitchen remodeled and also wants to hire a landscaper for her front and backyard. Renee has 5 grown children and this year has officially become an empty nester. One of Renee's daughters already has a young family and already knows the pain of struggling each month to make ends meet. Renee wishes she could help with more than just the care that she provides for her grandson. Renee has her own financial struggles and rarely gets to buy, well, maybe I should not, rarely gets to buy new clothes. Renee is getting further behind on bills and mortgage, and she's worried that her marriage will not survive the financial stress and burden that her husband will bear. He's the only one with an income right now and will not, and not at all supportive of Renee's efforts to improve their financial situation. There are so many things Renee needs to fix up around her house, but there is no money for that. In fact, Renee's biggest fear is that she will lose her house if things don't change. Renee is now in panic and learning how to change her financial future so she can do the remodeling and vacationing and helping out her family that she has been dreaming of.
Very nice. Very well done.
that is actually very good.
How many, who can relate with Renee?
Wow.
So one of the importances of doing this avatar is because whenever we start marketing and we start building a business, we're going to come to forks in the road. There's going to be decision points where you have to make a decision. Do I go this way or do I go this way? There's going to be thousands of these. So the main purpose of the avatar is, number one, to obviously it'll make marketing a lot easier, communication a lot more effective. But for some reason, that's not usually enough drive for us to take the time to do what she's done and actually write out an avatar. So look at it this way. When you have an avatar and you come to the fork in the road, you don't make the decision based on what you think or what you want. What would your avatar do? What would they want? Should I do a video blog or an article blog? What would your avatar want? Are they driving in their car when they're consuming your content? Do they need audio? Are they, do they have an hour time frame to listen and consume your stuff? Do they have 10 minutes? What would your avatar want? That's the primary reason for doing it is when you come to these Thousand Forks Road, your avatar just allows you to breeze through and make these decisions without getting bogged down. Okay? Who else wants to go? Who else has their avatar written out and would be willing to share? Okay.
Mine is Meet Jack. Jack is a 48-year-old corporate employee. He's been married for 11 years and has no children, but has 2 dogs, a mortgage, and a nice house in suburbia. He has a good job that he doesn't hate, but realized a couple years ago that he is a slave to his corporation and the job could be taken away at any time. He reads books on the economy and where the trends are going, but he isn't sure how to be free from it affecting him. He now knows that family and freedom is more important than fostering a long career in corporate America. He set out to become an entrepreneur and earn additional income, targeting network marketing because Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump told him it was a smart thing to do. He jumped in with both feet, joined 2 different network marketing companies to only limited success. He struggled to make online marketing work, worked his ass off, learned everything his companies told him to do, but still success eluded him. He continues to worry that even though his job is secure, he could lose it at any time. His business is not growing fast enough to be the backup plan and worries about where the money will come from should his job disappear. However, he is determined to make it work. He's learned a lot and is looking for how he can fine-tune things. Jack is making self-improvements through personal development, but still has a ways to go there. He wants to make the online venture work and is searching for someone to follow that has been through a similar situation, but has had the success that still eludes him.
How many can relate with Jack?
Yo.
Okay. Great job.
I mean, the thing that I think, I don't want to speak for Cindy, but I know for me, I mean, it's a total reflection of me and my story, right? Just in a way that I sort of pulled it out of myself and put it into somebody else, because you know that person the best, right? I mean, that's what you know, who you can talk to if you get on the phone to somebody, how you can relate to them. So that's why I wrote it the way that I did.
Yeah, one of the things Kimball mentioned, like on the very first day, your avatar is likely going to be a reflection of you. I know mine was when I started. It's still in many aspects a reflection of me. And this is something too, one of the sort of our USPs, if you will, with how Brenda and I operate is we don't like to teach based on theory, meaning we're not going to read a book, learn about a concept, and productize it or teach it. We're going to go out and do it, gain the experience, and teach from that. And this is something that we do consistently. We're starting, I mentioned, we're starting a podcast at the end of this month. Before, when we recorded 1 episode, but last week I sat down and spent some time writing out a totally new avatar for the podcast.
How long did that take you?
Good hour.
Hour?
You wrote out a new avatar?
Yeah,
Sure,
because it's a podcast and there's a different person that, like the avatar for Results 513, majority of the training is video based, and it's sort of delivered in a different way, so they can't necessarily watch and go through the Results 513 training on the drive to work. So it's going to be a different audience that we're initially talking to, and so we're going to focus on that audience. Now what's going to happen is there's going to be overlap. There's going to be a lot of people that will listen that fall under our avatar for 513, but we don't, again, this is for this podcast project. So when we have a roadblock, when we're deciding things like how many times a week do we publish a podcast, how do we structure it, what questions do we ask, how long should they be, we're taking into consideration this new avatar that we created, and we're answering it based on that. Does anybody else want to go? And then I'd actually like you to maybe read through that one.
Yeah, I'm going to. It's the best one I've ever seen. I was very impressed when he did that last week. That's why I was wondering how long it took you.
You know, sometimes when people change vocabulary, but they're saying the same thing,
it clicks on a different level. And I got the psychology of Avatar, but I didn't get it until you just said, an avatar is the person you're thinking of when you're making those decisions.
That's when it really clicked for me too.
Yeah, they're kind of your business consultant. They're this invisible, because the reason I've been struggling with it is my business helps literally everyone. And so I didn't know who to focus on, but now I do because of that.
Mhm.
And I've gone through Avatar trainings with Kate. I mean, they're great trainings, but you use different vocabulary.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the key, because we're going to talk, I mean, today is about marketing. And when you're crafting a marketing message to a certain audience, you've seen 2 pages that look identical, say the same basic thing, but literally one word will be different.
Mm-hmm.
That one word could be 3 or 4 times more people resonating and taking action on that thing. Literally one word. So it's the vocabulary, it's the word, and you have to know. I mean, you have multiple people that could benefit from your service, but if you start with one and you make your decisions on what you're creating based on that one person, it doesn't mean that if somebody's not that exact person, if I'm not, if my name's not Sandy and I'm not a 22-year-old female,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not going to benefit from it. You're still very likely going to reach me. But you start with one and it helps those decisions. You always sort of fall back and say, well, what would my avatar do?
Right.
So.
It's not a faceless crowd.
Absolutely. And that's why I want to take this a little bit farther. So if you're thinking like, well, I've already done my avatar, I've already written this, we're taking it a little bit farther today, because that's what's going to actually help with your marketing, because it's the step of like, well, okay, I've got my avatar Betty, that's great, I already did that assignment. Well, now I need to go create these chapter pages, or I need to go write my content, and this is completely separate, and I need to go do that. What the heck do I say? Oh my gosh, I don't know. There's a disconnect there, and you should always be pulling back to that avatar and being able to answer actually some of these questions that I'm going to go over, which some of them you've seen, some of them are a little bit different. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I do want to read what Justin came up with. And I really like how it's not just the story, because you can tell the story, but I'm going to share with you, there's a few things in here I think are actually really cool how he designed it this way.
One second before you do that. Who's actually went through the process of creating an avatar, but you have no idea where it's at? Like where it's saved on your computer or
Yeah.
something?
I don't
I
like
have
it.
it, I have it written out and I have it in here somewhere in the Facebook page, is what I was just looking for.
Somewhere?
I don't want to
Okay.
hang out with her.
So one thing, and that's the thing, is like all of this importance gets built up on creating it. So we go through the motions, but then we abandon it and it sits there. My first 3 avatars that I spent half a day of creating each, I did nothing with. I didn't use them in my marketing. I never looked at them. But I kept hearing that's important. Every time it's like, why is my stuff not converting? Well, who's your avatar? I mean, I got to do that thing again. And it was always starting back there. So you might as well do it now.
So that's almost as important opposed to like what am I gonna do for my business today?
Yeah,
Is
so
that part of your
yesterday,
routine?
Brenda asked you, part of the homework was to block out the times when you're going to actually be working in your business. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to dive into each one of those and we're going to break them up later. But one of those sections is going to be advertising, creating content, or paid marketing. All right. The very first thing you do before you start marketing, I would literally put it in your schedule, like a little checklist. So when I sit down to do this hour block and I'm doing paid marketing, the first thing that I do is read my avatar.
Every day.
You should have that before you sit down and start writing ads or, brainstorming content or whatever.
So it's gonna affect every decision.
So when we start going into, because I'm going to show you my calendar and exactly what I focus on and sort of help my thought process on how I do that. And I want you to just keep that in mind. That needs to be worked in there before you start marketing and communicating. Get in the habit of reading through your avatar. And it might take you 5 minutes to read through it, but it'll make the rest of your time, the rest of the hour, way more effective. So that's all I want to say.
I'm literally just going to read this, but don't do anything while I'm reading it. Like actually get into it and just think about it for a second. And so put in here, when we, the creators of the show, approach one of the thousands of forks in the road we're going to face as we launch Results Radio. It's the same for you guys. how easy it's gonna be for us to look at Gary and quickly decide if we're on the correct path to drive on, wasting no time, energy, or effort. So how quickly can you decide which way do we need to go here? And it's really a heck of a lot easier to decide and know which way is right if you completely understand your avatar. And so instead of just having this story here, it first starts off with Gary's background, which I think is really cool, because if you can take your avatar with the whole little stories that you've got and almost take them and, wait a minute, what's his background? Why is he doing some of the things that he's doing right now? You know, that takes it just a little bit further. But Gary's background, he's 47 years old, a record driver, which I was like, what's a record driver? Tow truck driver. He's been married to his wife, Mary, for 18 years. They've got 2 children. They're both in their 20s. One's still in college, and one who has just graduated. Numbers are a little bit off.
I was gonna say that, like, I didn't figure out right. They're in their 20s and have 2 kids. They've been married.
I couldn't get past that.
So here's how that happened, and sort of my, again, just so you can see the context of my thinking process. I actually had 2 people that I wanted to hit. I wrote out 2 backgrounds and I sort of meshed them together, and I forgot to change the numbers. So if that type of thing bothers you, you can adjust the ages to.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't get past them.
That way you're
Are
not
they
having a kid when you're 2 years old or
supposed to have kids before they get
something, so.
married, or is that
they older than
part
them?
of that? Or is that just a number error? Because that matters. Like, if that's part of it, oh, okay, well, that changes our message. And I was like, why do we have a message? So, all right, so Gary's job is unfulfilling, and he longs for the day that he can retire. But with the cost of paying for the 2 kids' college fees, medical bills from Mary's recent cancer scare, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to stop working anytime soon. Gary and Mary are still paying off their house. They have some credit card debt as well, and Gary hates the feeling of being in debt. It makes him feel like he's never going to get ahead. So that's his background. So the next thing is, well, the problem. And that's obviously, we need to know what their problem is, because we're the solution. So we need to know what's their problem. That should be defined, the main problem. So Gary's 2-hour commute to work each day is exhausting and draining. He can't help but calculating the hours of his life he's wasted in the car. Traffic in and out of the city is awful at rush hour, and he finds himself arriving at work and arriving home in a bad mood. This problem has impacted the relationships of his coworkers and his wife. Mary spends 2 to 3 days per week working from home, something Gary envies greatly. He would love to be able to work from home and be able to go to the gym whenever he wants and sleep in later and maybe even see a movie in the middle of the day every now and then. Gary's a closet artist and an art history buff. He actually majored in art history in college, but when Mary got pregnant right after they got married, he felt the need to get the real job in order to support his family. Gary's done everything right. Secure a job with health insurance, the wife, and the kids. So the problem? He's unhappy. He's unfulfilled. He's desperately missing painting and the art world and dreams of buying and selling rare pieces of art. He's even dreamed of having a gallery showing off the paintings he's secretly been working on in the basement studio. But with family responsibilities and his grueling work week, he either can't find time to paint very often, or if he has the time, he's just too exhausted. And besides, artists can't make money, right? Gary's greatest fear is that he's wasted his life at his job, even though he doesn't even like it. He has given everything to his family, and he's ready to do something for himself. Gary's son, the one who just graduated, started an online business while still in school. He designs and sells t-shirts that benefit various charitable organizations. Gary's amazed at his son's online skills, and he secretly wishes that he could do something like that. Maybe even something that has to do with the art world, but where to start? Gary's pretty computer savvy with the programs he's had to use at work, and he's good with Microsoft Excel and various software programs, and he just joined Facebook, and he really enjoys catching up with old friends from high school and college. After a particularly grueling commute and a disagreement with his boss, Gary went to Google and did a search for work online, start an online business. The results were confusing and impersonal, and Gary felt like they were all get-rich-quick scams, and he gave up his search. See how detailed this is? Like, you are in his life right now, and you're going through his frustrations. So now, the catalyst for change. How is he actually going to change? Why is he changing? What is this catalyst? How are you going to get them off of their butts from doing nothing to actually doing something? Because that is the first step, and that's the hardest and most scariest most times. So, just the other day, Gary and Mary calculated how much money they needed in order to retire. If they want to stay in their current house and afford the kids' schools and their loans, Gary would have to keep working for another 12 years until he was 62 years old. The number was the last straw. He can't keep working at his job he hates while dreaming of a different kind of life. Gary is ready to make a change. He doesn't know just how yet, but he knows there's people out there making great money and working on their own terms, and many of them seem to be doing it online. Gary's desperate to know, how can I have the time flexibility my wife enjoys while running my own business like my son? The answer to Gary's problem is Results Radio. Gary is desperate to make a change today, relatively tech savvy, aware of the concepts of time flexibility and working online. He's harboring an unfulfilled passion that could be turned into a business, and he's fed up and unfulfilled with the way things are right now. And he's an ideal podcast listener because he has a commute. Like, do you see how that could fit into your marketing? Like, it's like, oh, well, this is, when you get there to sit down for your content, it's like, what did I write today? You go back to it and you look at it like, oh, okay, yeah, we could talk about that today. So, no, put yourself in your shoes of your avatar. How would your avatar find you? Answer this question.
This is actually this is a piece that I haven't always done, but I think when she reads it, you'll see that it makes it real. Like you want to imagine the conversation of how they found you and your solution.
Like this part, I mean, what we just did right there, you're like, okay, I can see it. It's a little more detailed. I mean, we talked about the catalyst, but hey, how's your avatar going to find you? Why would they listen? Why would they keep listening? Here's a perfect example. Gary finds Results Radio. I was talking to my son about his online business, and he mentioned listening to podcasts to keep up with trends, to get new ideas for marketing. I'd never listened to a podcast before, and I wasn't really familiar with what that meant. Why not just listen to the radio? What's the difference? I mean, so many people aren't really sure what a podcast is, right? Well, once Justin showed me where to go in iTunes, it was like a gold mine. First of all, I found a lot of interesting art-related podcasts that I could download. But even better, when I did a search for online business, I found, get this, a podcast called Results Radio. It was like someone made a podcast just for me. I couldn't download the episodes fast enough. I like the hosts, Justin and Brenda, because they seem like regular people with a passion for helping people just like me. They understand what it's like to learn new technology. And he has also worked in regular jobs for years, just like me. I can really relate to them. I also love the podcast because they interview great guests that tell me things I need to know to start my business. Every episode, I learn 1 to 2 action steps I can take to get my business off the ground. I've even thought about contacting some of the interviewees to see if they can help me in their areas of expertise. But the best part is I never feel overwhelmed when I listen. I've tried some other podcasts related to online business, but I just don't understand half of what they're talking about. Justin and Brenda always have their guests break it down in ways that are clear to me and not over my head. I got my wife starting to listening too, and she's thinking more and more about starting her own business as well. My son is relieved because I've stopped asking him questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and now I can just download another episode of R&R and go to the website as well, which is a great resource where Justin and Brenda share their Rolodex of other great content. And the best part, my commute to work is no longer torturous. I can listen to 1 to 2 episodes each way, even catching up on weekend episodes, which makes me feel productive even though I'm still going to my old job. I know if I keep listening, I'll be able to have a business up and running in no time. Taking it to the next level.
So something I noticed there, that last part switched talking about Gary as a person to him talking in the first person.
Yes.
So on purpose?
Yes.
And so why did you make that transition?
Because it sets expectations for us. When we are putting together, okay, well, what do we create? How do we break this episode down? We want him thinking it's not confusing, just remember to break it down. There's always resources on their blog. So now that's what we do. We have, it sort of outlines what we need to do for every episode that we publish. And also for me, like that, again, that's the part that I haven't always done, but just rewriting it from the first person on how they found Results Radio. That to me, it's easier, and it really makes it just makes it flow. Like, it makes it more real to me. I don't know. That part it flows a lot easier to me because like it helps you as a marketer, really get in their shoes, like step in their life, because you're even speaking from their voice, like from first person, as if you're them, versus, okay, here's who I'm talking to, here's what they want. It's like imagining that you are them. Here's what I would want if I'm in that situation. Here's how I found it. Here's what I like about the show. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I'm sick of. Here's what's worrying me. Here's what I want to do. Like, it's just, it makes it more real and just adds another layer to it.
To me, it just takes it to the next level. And as I was reading this for the first time, it was like, okay, yeah, I got it. And then when it flipped over into first person, it was like, well, that's what we're doing. Okay, that's it. It made it more real, but it was like, okay, so he's got his transponding his transportation. That makes sense for him. This is why he likes it. He doesn't have it. It made that person, Gary, way more real. And it also set up the expectations. That was instantaneously, it was like, okay, that's right, that's Gary. And so
Before I wrote it, I was not 100% clear on all of the details on like what it's going to look like. Neither was she. When she read it, now she knows, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we have to produce now. So it helps with clarity, with actually getting an idea of what it is, the specifics.
Because, and Rendela said it earlier, she's like, my thing helps everybody. You know, there's so much, so everybody can use this stuff. And that's the first thing that you always say, well, everybody can use more money. Everybody should want to do this. And you can't market online with everybody. You cannot, it will not work online. And so you have to really pull them down, especially so much now, even than a year ago, because social media it's exploding. We all know social media, but the habits of people are so much faster with instant gratification, and they're scrolling. They're constantly skimming and scrolling. You have got to jump out at them. You have to. There's so much competition out there that, you know, a funny little cat video is going to grab their attention more than your little post about, hey, do you want to make some money? They want the instant funniness. But if you can grab them with exactly what's going on in their head, you got them. And then they're like, you got them, you got to keep them. And how do you do that? I mean, you've got 3 to 5 seconds. Once they made that decision to go check it out, how are you going to keep them and compete with the nagging pull to go back over social media and see what else they're there? Because they're not there to change their life unless they're actively searching online, which maybe they are. And if they are, your content should should show up for them. But you have to be considering that. That's why this stuff is so important. And if you get this stuff right, your conversions so much better, so much easier, and it's going to work better than so many other people out there because you're keeping your message congruent, talking to your person, right? So, you know, up here, I mean, some of these top ones are like, okay, I know I need to answer these questions, but what keeps them awake at night? I mean, that is a big deal. If you can pull that out into your marketing, even as a headline, and when we're talking about doing content, we're usually posting it on social media. We're trying to get as much backlinks and engagement, so they're going to see it in the social media area, no matter where it's coming from. Yes, they might be searching stuff, but there's a majority of the time they're going to be finding it through yourself that you're posting it. So if you can jump out with a headline that really makes them stop and think, and then continue to keep it going, it's just going to work better. What are they afraid of? And this one right here, who are they angry with? Because if they're angry with the world, when there's a whole consumer mindset that I talked about yesterday, you got to speak their language a little bit in the beginning. You know, you got to show them what they want, but then teach them what they need to know. A lot of times you may want to come out, and we had this issue with 513 when we started. It was like, this is what everybody needs. This is what we know what you need, but guess what? No one cares.
They don't want what
they don't want what they need. They want what they want. So it's like, okay, and a lot of times there is education that has to go into that. So you speak their language in the beginning, and then you educate them on why they actually need this instead. You start with that. This one right here, what are their top 3 daily frustrations? This pulls this down to a different level. A daily frustration. These may keep them up at night, but more so the bills might be keeping them up at night, or the fear of, like, you know, their kids are going off, or what am I going to do? My job is not secure. That's more of very fear, but what are they frustrated with? Do they hate their boss? Do they hate when the alarm clock goes off? Do they hate the fact that they have to ask for time off? Maybe they don't even have a job and they're just still looking for something? Do they hate the fact that they can't make money because they have to spend money first? A lot of people do. Like, why can't I just, why don't you just give this to me? Why do I actually have to spend money first? That type of a mindset, it's not a great one, but maybe you can help them. Maybe you can show them reasons why. Daily frustrations. This is all stuff that you consider start putting your content out there. You put your headlines out. This is the kind of stuff to start building off of. Now, yeah, all the how-tos and stuff can go with it, but anytime you can incorporate emotion into your marketing, you're going to get a better response. This one right here, these start changing it right here. What trends interest them? It doesn't have anything to do with their problems and stuff, but what trends are happening that they are maybe keeping an eye on? Are they somebody that is completely into the news and they're always watching CNN and they always want to know what's going on? If that's the case, you can market around events. You can go on to CNN and you can see what's going on right now, and you can write a broadcast or you can send a social media message out about some type of event that's going on, and you can tie that into your thing. Anything that you put out there, you can tie back in, as long as you just kind of think about it. This is a marketing technique. What trends are going on right now? This is thinking outside the box a little bit. What do they secretly desire? This is not fear-based. This is pushing it the other way. People are motivated to get away from fear or towards pleasure. Some people are way more motivated towards pleasure. Some are way more motivated to get away from fear. So having a mix of both. What do they secretly desire? I mean, we know that Gary really wants to not be in that commute. We really, all of those stresses, but what did he secretly desire?
Art.
Artist. What the heck does that have to do with Internet Marketing Results Radio? Why does that even come into play? But it does, because think of all of the art stuff that's out there that we could somehow go over and, you have passion about art. If you ever want to, an artist, shoot, they love to do that stuff, but they can't make any money. He even said, you can't make money being an artist. Well, maybe we can show you how. There's a bridge, boom, we got it. We marketed on an art site, and now we pull people in. It's just, there's so many possibilities, but you have to always pull it back down to the tiniest little thing. Is there a built-in decision process? And what I kind of mean by that is two different ways. Sometimes with, let's take this, the prime element's $97 and it's $4.97. One side of this is, are they the decision maker? Do they have the ability to say, yes, I'm going to pay $497 without asking anybody? Do they have permission to do that? Can they do that? Because if you're marketing to somebody that, they love it and they want it, but they don't have $497. They got to go talk to their spouse about it and convince them why they're going to need it. There's a whole nother hurdle, and you're just going to have to get it. There's an education piece right there. That can be an entire concept. Like, do you have to ask permission to do it? Do you get an allowance and wish you could make your own money even though you're an adult? Like, that's content right there. You are speaking to that person, and then you just education them. That's all value-based right there.
One little piggyback on that, just so some real world application. When I was doing a contest. Matter of fact, it was one that I was in with Kimball and Brenda. We were all together on this team, and it was pretty close. And I asked that question. I went, because we were all promoting hard, and I was trying to get first place. And so I went to my list, or to my existing people that I've already talked about, with that question. What if they're listening and they really want this, but they don't know how to approach their spouse? So I put a piece of content together and educated them on how to do that, and said, here's some ideas of things that you could say that will, from their perspective, allow them to see the value in what you want. And then that might make the decision making easier. It might, take some of the fear off, where you can actually, approach them and say, well, honey, what about this? Here's some things to think about. I'm considering getting this thing. I literally gave them a script to approach their spouse. And this flurry of sales came in, and I ended up winning the comp. Well, I got the second on the very last day, but whatever. But it worked. That's the importance of having that.
Well, that's also time saving too, because if you spent so much time with that person who's interested, and then they don't talk to their.
You have phone conversations with somebody and they're totally it, and then They're not the decision maker.
Yes,
I'm
that's
sorry,
part
my
of your
husband
And they
can't do
financial
it.
decision.
They
Can't do
think that
it.
it's gonna be a very difficult conversation. They think that I don't have time to sit down and think of, creative ways to approach them with this. And so you just give them, say, here's how you do it. Say this to them. They're like, oh, well, that's easy. I can say that. She would probably go for that. So it alleviates the pain of whatever they're afraid to do.
In this industry, sidebar, this is your avatar. It's I'm not sure so much from yours, but in an internet marketing, home-based business industry, there's a very high chance that if someone's working with a partner or spouse, they're not on the same page. That comes up a lot. And it's an issue that's not talked about all that often, but it's an issue that everybody goes through. And so that right there is also a part of it. Is there a built-in decision process, or are you on your own feeling like this? That there's a lot of content in there that you can, that can get pulled out there. So just putting that out there. But the other part of that is a built-in decision process is almost talking about more towards yesterday, where is there an internal constantly, well, no, I can't do that. Is there something that they just have habits of, well, you know what, I'm a buyer, I'm going to buy it, but it's not going to work for me, I'm not going to go through it anyway. Or is there constant talk in their head, which is a built-in decision process? That's something different. Do you possibly need to educate them on the value of why they need to be able to do something like this? Because a lot of times people are completely scared to take that step. If you're talking to them about what's keeping them up at night and they're relating to you, but it's just, that's for other people. There's no way that I couldn't do that. It might work for you, but I can't do that. I mean, a lot of people have these desires, but they don't think that it's possible, it's for them. And so it's your job to let them know that, yeah, you can do this. And so is there any type of decision process in their mind that you can help them get over to? And that's all stuff that can be put out into your marketing, even just like little posts, but it's all content-based, email broadcasts going out to your list. This is the kind of stuff that builds, nurtures that relationship. They're going to start trusting you. Or are you putting it out there for cold market and they've never seen it before and they're like, yes, who is this person? Oh my gosh, how'd they do that for me? So is there a specific language that this one has? Your avatar has, like, he said he was a wrecker driver. I didn't know what a wrecker driver was. That's not some term that I'm familiar with, but I bet if you're really going after a specific niche, there's actual jargon that they use.
I think that's a because like in Texas, they call wrecks.
Totally,
Yeah,
I'm using that as an example
that's-
and stuff, but like when I was going after stay-at-home moms, my emails and my videos, they were completely different. I had my kids stuff in the room. I was talking about, oh my gosh, my kid was napping today. I was using their language that they completely understood. Like, well, you know what? My kids are taking a nap right now. I have 30 minutes. So if yours are watching them, if you're watching this right now, but you don't have time because you got kids, go. I was talking their language. So is there any specific language that your avatar is having that you can stick in there? Because the more you can do that, the more you're relating to them. And you're not just trying to sell them. You're like, you understand them. You are a solution to a problem that they have, and you get them. Do you get your hand up?
I do. I have a question. I understand everything you're saying. How do you, I could do an avatar based on, myself, kind of like I think Cindy did and then Scott did. But how do you do that with somebody that it's like, I don't know what's going through somebody's mind. I don't know what their issues are, their problems are, their desires are.
Mhm.
How do you do that if you don't, I've been a stay-at-home mom, so I can do that one.
Mhm.
I'm frustrated like Cindy, so I can do that.
Mhm.
Frustrated like Scott, so I can kind of do that. But
And there's, and that's
That's how you
because
do it.
that,
You pull
But
from multiple pieces.
but like this guy,
I think she's talking about the specifics, like why did you choose Heart?
yeah, it's,
This person that came to my mind.
do you have an avatar? Do you know who you want to target?
I do. It's not. I need to work on it more.
Who is it? What is it?
But it's basically me.
Well, then you should know all the answers to that.
I know that's
But
my,
but I know where you're coming
Yeah.
from, because it was like with the art example. I don't know what they're gonna like. Maybe they like golf. So what if they like golf? I don't know.
It's
I
not
don't
really, it doesn't really matter what that is. It's they're passionate about something. They want to be doing something that they're not doing. That will apply to everybody. We're just making it specific. to make it way easier when we're getting ready to create marketing, we have a person to relate to versus a list of likes and dislikes.
And I get that part, but I'm like, when you talked about making all those forks in the road and making the decision, I would have no clue what decision that
Well,
person's
could
gonna
you
make.
replace that like with hobby or something? Oh, that's
No.
right, he spends too much time.
I don't care about that part. I'm talking about this, well, you said, you know, when it's time for you to decide, do I go this way or do I go that way? All those forks in the road. I wouldn't have a clue, like, what decision he's gonna make about what he's gonna do. Whether,
I think
you know, is he gonna
step market
listen to
research.
this podcast, or is he gonna wanna see a video? I mean, it's
But
like,
I think that once you start to break it down, when you start to look at their lives, like if they just making it up, they have to watch children all day, and when the children are napping, they have like 5 minutes. Like, what do they want to do in that 5 minutes? Are they going to want to read a long copy, or is it easier for them to listen to something, or do they want to do a visual, or maybe both? Do you know what I mean? But that's how you can start to decide on which way you go.
And a lot of that is asking yourself, what would you, because it's so close to you, what would you do in that situation? Right? 'Cause
well, I
you
know
don't-
exactly what I would do, but that doesn't mean, I hate video. I'd rather read it so I can skim it quicker.
Well, and so you're gonna, you
when
might
you're
hit
creating
people
your
who,
avatar, your avatar hates video, would rather read it so they can scan it quicker. Like, you write that into your avatar. And then you take
Right.
another piece that you know and the reason why, and you plug that piece in.
But
And then you
it's-
have this like pushed together fake person that is your avatar, and that's who you speak to.
And you can even say that in your video. Hey, you might hate listening to videos, so I'm gonna keep this as tight as I can.
Or the script is underneath the video if you know, if it's easier for you to print out and read it at your convenience. I would give a choice.
But so it's always gonna be based on
It's gonna come back to you, because especially if you're modeling after yourself.
well, but I'm
which
just
you
saying,
are a
like,
little bit. So the thing is that there's a vast majority of people out there, and you don't know what they're gonna want. But and one of the things I talked about yesterday is that if we're going after the people that want to have financial freedom and they want to be able to better themselves, the commonalities are huge. So as you start speaking about one person, they're going to relate to what's actually in them. Gary has a passion for art, but you don't have to specifically say art in some of your copy. You have a passion that, you know, you had 5 years ago before the kids got, you never just got to. They're going to go to their internal thing. Yeah, I did have that, man, I really wish I would have done that. Most people are going to take their story and input it into what you're putting out there. But you have to kind of tailor it down that way. If you didn't ever know that this person had a secret passion, you would have never talked about that. So it's more of just remembering that people are very, very common, but you cannot go out there and market just to everybody. So when you keep this one person in mind, this one thing, every time you're like, well, should I say this or this? And this is theory talking right now. As you start doing it, you're going to start noticing that come up. As you start writing, you'll be like, well, I guess I could talk about this or this. Well, actually, I should talk about this because it's going to hit them a little bit harder. If it's in the back of your mind so much, you'll kind of start to see as you write stuff or put headlines out, which way to navigate through. If you're not doing it right now, it's almost like riding the bike learning kind of thing. As you start to go through it, it's going to pop up a little bit more and make what you're struggling with a little. Because again, you're like 3 steps ahead, and it's just, let's just get this done right here, and just keeping it in the back of my mind for right now.
And know that they don't have to be, like, there's not going to be a perfect answer for it. Like, you're going to know if you can. I want to take like 20 minutes for everybody to answer all of those questions, and don't overthink. You don't have to have it as elaborate as mine right now. We just need the basic questions because you're going to continue to add to it, and this will evolve. So, like, for an example, I told you I wrote 2 because there was 2 distinctively different types of people that I knew I wanted to talk to, and I sort of merged them. Well, one of them was my stepdad in real life. My stepdad's name is Gary. He is a record driver, and he desperately does not want to do that. And he wants to, he envies what I do and wants to learn something, but he has no idea where to start. So those pieces literally came from my stepfather.
okay,
Then this other person that I wrote about was a different person. I sort of merged them, and like, that's a person that I made up, but I pulled it from real life examples, knowing that this is a valid concern. Gary cared less about art. Like, he's passionate about cars, but that doesn't matter. Like, if they're passionate about something and just like sort of constructing it so that you have this person. And just know that, I mean, if you answer the questions from your personal experience, like answer with answers that you know, and they will be right. They won't be wrong as long as you answer, and don't try to don't put the pressure on yourself to have to fabricate this invisible person that's going to be the right person. Like, you're pulling from real people and real concerns, real desires.
If that part helps
That's
you
what
a
I
little
was
bit more.
getting.
I did the exact same thing with mine. Mine was Betty. That was my friend's mom. That when I first got started, I was kind of going after the older generation a little bit. And I was, obviously, I don't relate to that.
That's what I was getting at.
So I was like, well, I know what my verbiage should be. She would be a good person. And so anytime I started going through this, I was like, well, what would Betty think? What's going on with Betty? Which is, I literally named her name because that was who I was kind of going after. So that helps you a little bit to kind of pull from.
That was my point. I was like, I can do myself, but how do I do other people?
Yeah, it's gotta be something that you get, or you won't be able to write to them. You'll be constantly struggling with what to say to this person. So it's important that you are pulling from what you know when you're constructing this. And you can look at a market and say, oh, okay, well, what is that avatar, and learn that. But this is what we're talking about right here.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I'm just going to I want my avatar to be someone a little more successful than me. So if I immerse myself in groups on Facebook and stuff with people who are a little more go-getter than me, or a little more educated than me, I mean, is that part of your market? I mean, that's
Absolutely, market research too.
because I'd rather market to people who had college and, and we work a little harder to be able to converse with them.
Yeah.
Because that might be a more financially.
You just need to make sure you can understand, like, you just understand them. But you are, I mean, you're hanging around other people also, so.
Yeah, okay, so that is part, you can do that, you can because I want to stretch yourself, I don't want someone to look at me and I'll look at her, I want someone to look at me as I'm a person who's
Absolutely,
improving.
and you are, and so that's gonna come across for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to take this.
That's okay.
Brenda, sorry, just before you go on. So when you talk about specific language, and I think you have talked about it before, and I've heard other people talk about language in Avatar, and I've also thought of it as very literally being like the specific terms that they might say, or the slang, whatever it is, like if they're golfing, there's like they have words for the swing or whatever. But what you described just now is actually more than that, because it's also when you talked about the stay-at-home mums, there's particular circumstances that they would only encounter. So, but because I don't think, only from what you just said, I kind of caught that, but I never caught it from any of the questions that you ever had up there.
That's why it's down here. It's actually a little bit different. There's a little bit of a transition kind of starting right here. This is going into a little bit more marketing side of things. But yeah, the specific language and also jargon. So you use those. And what a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to write. I'm not a good writer. And you almost have this back to grade school when you had to write all of these essays and you had to make sure your grammar was correct and stuff. And it's like, that's crap done work online. You got to write like you talk, which makes it really easy to actually start writing. It's such a weird transition. But that is actually true. So if you're going to be writing like you're talking, then actually think about who your avatar is, and if they have any jargon, or you try to input that a little bit. But circumstances also, absolutely. I mean, like my other example is like when I was going after engineers, I didn't know the engineer thing at all, but I interviewed 6 of them because I really wanted to go after an engineer market, and I asked them all of these questions. Literally, I was doing market research and did all that stuff, so I really got a great understanding of who they were, but I had a hard time with that one, because even though I understood them so much, my content and my ads, I only understood it on a surface level and talking with their frustrations. It was a harder market for me to me, and I just eventually dropped that one because I'm like, I just can't do this. I understand it, but I just couldn't get into it enough. Whereas the online marketing niche and then the stay-at-home mom, I had way more success with. And I knew that when I did, they just weren't converting. It just wasn't working as well. Well, why not? And I just couldn't get in. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna drop it. We're gonna go with these.
Here's an analogy, or whatever, if you want to call it that. If you have to come up with a piece of content, and I'm speaking specifically to what you're thinking, you don't want to have to come up with content and then try and translate it to German before you send it out, because then it'll be too hard, it'll never happen. So you do want to try and get that avatar to be something that you can just write to as much as you can. And so don't overreach and don't try and stretch yourself to the point where you make it really, really hard to put out content, to put out stuff to people, because you really want to try and stick with something, at least starting out, sticking with something that you know.
And the other thing is, it's a flip on the other side of it, but you also have your own style and your language that you kind of use, and people are either going to be attracted to that or they're going to be like repelled by it. And you don't care if they're repelled by it, let them go. People are going to be attracted. You get to be you and be your person and your personality. And so even though there's a specific language for them, if it's part of yours and you can feel it, you're going to attract that type of person, especially on social media. And I always go back to this with like Jess, the support. She types y'all all the time. And I literally the other day, I was like, don't put my name on anything that you put y'all, because I don't use that word and I'm not going to do that. That's not my specific language, but that is hers. And all of her posts have that. And a lot of people will say y'all. It's no big deal. And they're going to be like, oh, cool, someone else just, there's a tiny little connection right there. And that's fine. Use those things. So that's that. The other one down here is especially for internet marketing stuff, but other stuff. Who else has sold them stuff? Who else is selling them stuff? Are they buying it? Are they not buying it? Probably we'll think about the ones that actually are buying stuff. Who has sold them stuff? Why did they buy it? Were they happy with it? Were they not happy with it? If you can answer those, you got a lot of other stuff that you can talk about too. And you're never bashing anybody else. You're just going into them, why did you buy something? I mean, this is even asking them questions too. What?
You decide.
Well,
You
you're
decide
advertising
what
that.
He said, how do you find that out?
How do you find that out?
And talks. Well, first off, think about who's your competition. Like whatever you are selling, that's like this right here.
If you look in this room, we probably have every other marketing system
Yeah,
or
I've already
guru
talked to like
represented
four
in here,
empowered
somebody
people.
having sold to you guys.
And so you need to know your market. If you're in internet
It's just a
marketing.
market research thing. You find your avatar and then you say, okay, what else are they buying? Well, they're probably buying this and this. And you just kind of look at the stuff that.
Yeah, but probably buying and actually buying are two different things, right? So, I mean, I can assume that, my crowd, is buying Results 13 stuff or MLSP or Elite Marketing Pro or Ryan Dice or anybody. I could, name a.
What I would recommend is once you answer
Being
those
able
first
to-
8 questions and you have that person that you've sort of formulated, as that person, who would they resonate with? What marketers, what systems, what products would they buy? And versus trying to get the real world like
Right.
statistical.
We're
raw
not
data.
saying go to data.com and mine out and figure out exactly who they did. It's just a concept of, if this were you, what would you be looking for? What would you be buying?
So
And
if
then
your
you-
person is, say that they're big into church, very soft-spoken, that person probably wouldn't be buying from somebody who's very loud, obnoxious, upfront, and swears all the time.
They're not going to be.
They're not gonna
our
resonate.
network.
Yeah, they
So you're just
sure
trying to
as
like
aren't.
market message match is just sort of laying the framework for that.
And then the other also reason why you do want to know this is because if you are doing any type of targeting and you're doing some paid ads, you can go after, not in your ad, but you can find like Facebook targeting, you can go after people that are in MLSP. That's a competitor. If they're interested in MLSP, they might actually be interested in this. Maybe they're being horrible in that company, they're there, but they're struggling. Maybe this is a better suit for them.
Even just do your
And
research on
you put it
Facebook.
out there. So,
Maybe do your research by being on Facebook with those.
well, anyway, yeah. And start going into conversations, going into groups, just looking around. My market research is a big deal. We're all in the internet marketing industry and make money online. A lot of other people are too. A whole bunch of them are doing it in a really bad way. There's a lot of education that can go out there. If you're seeing people that are, just posting crap, well, they probably don't know any better. It's not like they're doing it on purpose. They weren't taught, and you can help them. So maybe that's another part of them. They're in a system right now. They're throwing stuff out there. They're trying really hard, and it's not working for them. That's a whole nother market right there. Help them. Take it as your responsibility. Like, and you know what? I'm struggling too, but I've found something that's worked for me, and that's just starting up conversations. We're going to talk about that later. But now after going through this, you've already been through the avatar training. Going deeper with this, can you understand why it's so important to actually know these answers before you go out there and start marketing?
I feel kind of embarrassed by this whole topic because I didn't even know what an avatar was. I've been in the industry for 7 years.
and that's not even surprising to me.
Thank you.
And that's
because
not
I mean, I
But you
don't
knew
know what a
it.
podcast
Well,
is, so that's.
I guess-
Perfect buyer,
Immediately.
but
You know, I don't say that to demean myself. I just say that I found this a struggle because I think you start by just being yourself. You are your own avatar first. And that's the premise that I've gone. Now, this is helping me to go beyond myself,
Mhm.
but it's a challenge.
it's constantly going
Yeah.
back to the first thing you said, you're like, well, this is my second one. I was like, well, why'd you change it? But that's what, you
right.
should be
Process
changing
it.
your avatar. You're growing, you're getting better, your words are getting better. You might be going after, you might realize you're attracting some people that you don't want to be attracting. That's definitely happened too. I realized the people that were starting to follow my brand were of like 65 and older male. I'm like, why the heck am I attracting all of these people? Like, what is that? That's not who I was going after like, at all.
So why did that?
Well, I took a step back and I'm literally, because I'm like, what am I putting out there? What am I doing? Why is that? And when with my customers, I had interactions with them a lot. I knew who they were. I talked to them, and we had groups. And so I was literally like, why? And it's everything I was doing at that time, it was step-by-step how-to, techie, step-by-step. They didn't understand the internet. And the women in that age were not even comfortable coming on here yet. So that was why.
You're a good teacher and that's what they really.
Yeah.
I thought
So-
maybe it was your stunning good looks.
Maybe, at first I was like, guys, that. So what I want to do
I said that.
is,
No, I asked one more question about marketing for.
20 minutes. Can everybody answer those questions in 20 minutes? So here's the thing, I want everybody to go through and do that, because I promise you guys total clarity and a full marketing plan. We gotta start that fairly soon, if I'm gonna deliver, otherwise we'll be until midnight. So 20 minutes, I want you to answer those questions at the bare minimum.
As if
You
we
have-
were our avatar.
I want you to create an avatar, starting with those questions. And here's the thing, you'll read a question, you're gonna think, my avatar could have 5 different answers. Pick one. Doesn't matter, just pick one. Just so you remember,
just
there's
one?
9 questions, so
Just pick yourself.
just over 2 minutes a question, and just go from your gut, the answers that you know, and you're gonna formulate one person, and try to stay quiet and get them done.
and those of you that have done your avatar for a while, take it further.
Yeah, do it again.
30 seconds.
Write it in first
No,
person.
that's what I was gonna say. Go in
30
first
seconds
person.
real quick. When we start doing photos and videos, Mama T had a request to kind of be able to go change and stuff early. Does anybody else have any kind of you want to be done and?
I would like to go buy a new hat that's not dingy.
You can go after lunch.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any kind of, got to be checked out? by this
Personal
time or
issues?
anything?
I just have to change shirts, I got my.
I'm supposed to check out my name, should I just do it on?
You're not checking
You're
out.
not checking
You're
out.
not
Don't
checking
worry
out.
about it.
Don't worry
Okay.
about
We'll
that.
take care of it later.
Yeah, that's good.
There
Okay.
you go.
Excellent.
Thank you.